The Helix research facility hung in the black like a steel promise of death, its white panels reflecting the light of a distant star. Cole adjusted the Shrike's approach vector, keeping them in the shadow of a nearby moon. 3 days of planning had led to this moment, and every detail had to be perfect. One mistake would get them killed and leave thousands of colonists to die from Helix's manufactured plague. Primary target confirmed, Arya said. Research Station Archimedes, crew complement of 32, minimal security presence. They're not expecting trouble. They should be, Riley muttered from the weapons console. She'd been running system checks for the past hour, her movements precise and controlled. The tension radiating off her was palpable. Crix chittered from navigation, his clawed hands steady on the controls despite the danger ahead. The Talixin had become family over the past months, and Cole knew he'd follow them into hell if necessary. Today might qualify. Status on our support teams? Cole asked. Arya pulled up tactical displays showing 2 other positions. Team Alpha reports ready at the production facility. Team Beta is in position outside the shipping depot. Both are awaiting your signal. Team Alpha consisted of Victor Ross and 3 mercenaries he'd vouched for, experienced operators who understood the stakes. Team Beta was a mix of freelancers Riley had worked with before, people who owed her favors and didn't ask inconvenient questions. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Hit all 3 facilities within a 5-minute window, destroy the plague samples. Copy all research data for evidence and escape before Helix could mount a coordinated response. Ross's teams would handle the production facility and shipping depot while Cole's crew took the research station. Simple didn't mean easy. Running final equipment check, Riley said, pulling up her inventory. Breaching charges, EMP grenades, data mining kit, emergency medical supplies, and enough ammunition to fight a small war. Let's hope we don't need the war, Cole said. Though he'd packed the same loadout. The Shrike drifted closer, running dark with all non-essential systems powered down. To Helix's sensors, they'd look like just another piece of orbital junk, not worth investigating. Cole had learned that trick from a smuggler on Titan Station years ago, back when things were simpler. 3 minutes to insertion point, Arya announced. Station security is running standard protocols, no elevated alert status. Their shift change happens in 90 seconds. Timing was everything. During shift changes, guards were distracted, communication was chaotic, and response times doubled. It was the narrow window they needed. Cole strapped into his combat harness, checking weapon charges and explosive placements one final time. Beside him, Riley did the same, her movements automatic after years of this life. Crix would remain aboard the Shrike, ready to provide fire support or emergency extraction. You know this is crazy, Riley said quietly. I know. We could still walk away. Send the evidence to authorities, let them handle it. Cole met her eyes. How long would that take? Investigations, legal proceedings, corporate lawyers blocking everything. Those colonists don't have months while bureaucrats argue. She nodded, having already known his answer. Just wanted to make sure you were doing this for the right reasons, not because you have a death wish. Can it be both? Riley laughed despite the tension. Arya, please remind Cole that dying heroically is still dying. I've been reminding him of that for years, Arya replied. He never listens. I've calculated that his survival is more statistical anomaly than tactical planning at this point. 30 seconds, Cole said, ending the discussion. He activated his comm to the strike teams. All units, this is Sterling. Prepare for synchronized breach. Execute on my mark. Acknowledgements came back from both teams. Ross's voice was calm and professional. The Beta team leader sounded nervous but determined. The Shrike matched velocity with the research station, extending a docking tube that latched onto an auxiliary airlock. Magnetic clamps engaged with barely a whisper, the ship's stealth systems masking the connection. Shift change underway, Arya confirmed. You have a 10-minute window before the next security sweep. Cole and Riley moved to the airlock, weapons ready. The station's door required an access code, but Arya had stolen those weeks ago during her infiltration of Helix's networks. The panel beeped acceptance and the door hissed open. They entered a maintenance corridor, empty and lit with dim emergency lighting. According to the station schematics, the plague research lab was 3 levels down, past 2 security checkpoints and a biometric scanner. Moving to objective, Cole transmitted. All teams execute. Across 3 different locations, 9 people began their assault on Helix Corporation's infrastructure. Cole and Riley moved through the corridor with practiced silence, their footsteps muffled by tactical boots designed for exactly this purpose. The first checkpoint appeared ahead, a reinforced door with a guard station visible through a small window. Two guards, both armed, both looking bored. Riley held up two fingers, then pointed to herself and the left guard. Cole nodded. They'd done this dance before. She triggered a sound distraction, a small device that mimicked equipment failure down an adjacent corridor. Both guards reacted, one moving to investigate while the other watched from the door. Cole struck first, his shock baton connecting with the investigating guard's neck. The man dropped without a sound. Riley was already moving on the second, disarming him with a joint lock and rendering him unconscious with a precise strike. 30 seconds, no alarm raised. They secured the guards and moved deeper into the facility. The corridors were sterile and cold, the kind of environment where terrible things happened behind closed doors and nobody asked questions. The biometric scanner was their first real obstacle. Arya had spoofed credentials, but there was always a chance the system would flag the intrusion. Cole pressed his hand to the scanner, holding his breath. Green light. Access granted. The laboratory level was different from the maintenance areas. Here, everything was pristine white, with observation windows showing various research projects in progress. Through one window, Cole saw the clone tanks he recognized from their brief captivity, each containing developing bodies at various stages. Through another, he saw what they'd come for. The Plague Research Lab was a sealed environment accessed through an airlock. Inside, scientists in hazmat suits worked with samples stored in containment units. The scale of the operation was staggering, hundreds of vials, enough to infect entire planetary populations. "Arya, I need this door open," Cole said. "Working on it. Their security is more sophisticated than expected. Give me 20 seconds. Riley kept watch while Cole attached breaching charges to the airlock as backup. If Arya couldn't crack it digitally, they'd do it the old-fashioned way. "Got it," Arya announced. The airlock hissed open. Alarms immediately began wailing throughout the station. Cole and Riley rushed into the lab, weapons raised. The scientists scrambled away from their workstations, hands raised in surrender. None were armed, nobody looked like they wanted to die for corporate profits. "Everyone out," Cole ordered, gesturing to the exit. "Move quickly and you live through this." They fled, leaving Cole and Riley alone with enough biological weapons to end civilizations. "Plant the charges," Cole said, moving to the containment units. "I'll copy the research data." Riley worked with explosive expertise, placing shaped charges that would incinerate everything in the lab without breaching the station's hull. Cole plugged into the main computer, letting Arya's infiltration programs work through the security. Files began copying. Research notes, test results, correspondence between Hutchinson and the board, financial records showing the scope of their operation. Everything they needed to expose Helix's crimes. "Cole, we have a problem," Arya's voice held an edge of concern. "Security is responding faster than predicted. I'm reading multiple armed teams converging on your position. ETA 3 minutes. How many? 20 hostiles, full tactical gear, military-grade weapons. They're not taking chances." Riley finished with the explosives and moved to cover the entrance. "Data transfer? 60% complete," Cole said, watching the progress bar crawl forward with agonizing slowness. Gunfire erupted from the corridor, impacts sparking against the doorframe. Riley returned fire, her shots precise and controlled, driving the security team back. "They're flanking," she warned. "Coming through the secondary access." Cole drew his pistol while keeping his other hand on the data transfer, 70%. The first security operative appeared at the secondary entrance, and Cole fired twice, center mass. The man went down, his armor absorbing the shots but the kinetic impact stunning him. More followed, pressing their advantage. Riley threw a shock grenade that detonated in a burst of electromagnetic energy, frying electronics and disorienting the attackers. 85%. Team Alpha reports success, Arya announced. "Production facility destroyed, minimal casualties. They're extracting now." "Team Beta?" Cole asked, firing at another security guard. "Still engaged." They ran into heavier resistance than expected. The security forces regrouped, preparing for a coordinated push. Cole could see them through the smoke and chaos, professional soldiers who knew their business. "Riley, we need to go," he said. "Transfer isn't complete." "Close enough. We've got what we need." 95%. Cole made the decision, yanking the data storage device free and triggering the explosive timer. They ran, Riley providing covering fire while Cole led them back toward the airlock. The station shook as Team Beta's charges detonated somewhere in the distance, adding to the chaos. Security forces pursued, their weapons tearing chunks from the walls. Cole felt something impact his shoulder, spinning him around. His armor held, but the force drove him to one knee. Riley hauled him upright, her strength surprising for her size. They stumbled through the maintenance corridor as the timer counted down. The Shrike appeared ahead, Crix having maneuvered closer to their exit point. The airlock was open, beckoning safety. They dove through, Riley slamming the emergency close button as bullets sparked against the hull. The docking clamps released and Crix fired the engines, throwing them away from the station. "Brace for shockwave," Arya warned. The charges detonated with precision, a series of controlled explosions that consumed the Plague Research Lab in cleansing fire. Through the viewport, Cole watched flames blossom within the station, destroying years of research and countless bioweapon samples. The Shrike accelerated away, shields absorbing the debris that peppered their hull. Alarms wailed, but Arya confirmed no critical damage. "Team Alpha extracted successfully," she reported. "Team Beta is away, one wounded but stable. All objectives achieved." Cole slumped in his seat, adrenaline fading to leave exhaustion in its wake. Riley checked his shoulder, confirming the armor had prevented serious injury. "We did it," she said, almost disbelieving. "Phase 1, Cole corrected. He held up the data storage device. "Now we make sure everyone knows what Helix was planning." Over the next 6 hours, they executed the final phase of their operation. Arya transmitted copies of Helix's research data to every major news organization, regulatory authority, and competing corporation in known space. The information hit like a meteor strike. News feeds exploded with the scandal. Images of the plague samples, documentation of the planned releases, financial records showing board-level involvement. Helix's stock crashed within the first hour, trading halted while authorities moved to freeze assets. Arrest warrants were issued for the entire board of directors. Hutchinson's name topped the list, with a reward for information leading to his capture. Cole watched it unfold from the safety of the Shrike, feeling a satisfaction he rarely experienced. They'd struck a blow against something genuinely evil, saved thousands of lives, and exposed corruption that would have otherwise remained hidden. "Think it'll stick?" Riley asked, joining him at the viewport. "Enough of it will. Helix is finished as a corporate entity. The board will face prosecution. The research is destroyed." He paused. "People will remember what they tried to do." "And our bounties," Arya answered. "Helix's bounties are void. The company is in receivership. All non-essential contracts are canceled. Vorenthal's bounty remains active, but my analysis suggests he has larger problems than revenge at the moment." That aligned with intelligence Cole had received. Vorenthal's gang war had escalated, pulling his attention away from personal vendettas. They weren't safe, but they were safer than before. Crix approached, carrying medical supplies. Riley insisted on treating Cole's shoulder properly despite his protests. The Talaxin chittered something that made Riley laugh. "He says you're too stubborn to die from something as minor as getting shot," she translated. "He's probably right," Cole admitted. They returned to Haven's Gate Station 3 days later, slipping back into their warehouse headquarters like they'd never left. Ross was waiting with the other team members, all intact and ready to celebrate. The mercenaries were paid their agreed fees plus bonuses. Ross refused extra payment, claiming the satisfaction of destroying corporate evil was compensation enough. Cole suspected the man simply enjoyed chaos. Over the following weeks, they watched Helix Corporation disintegrate. Board members were arrested, facilities were seized, research was audited. The company that had tried to weaponize disease for profit ceased to exist. Patricia sent a message congratulating them and offering her continued services. Other contacts reached out, impressed by their success against a major corporation. The job offers increased, better paying, and more legitimate than before. Cole's crew settled into a new rhythm. The warehouse became a true headquarters, equipped and defended. The Shrike remained combat-ready, but they took jobs that didn't require her full capabilities. Security escorts, recovery operations, occasionally tracking down fugitives who actually deserved to be caught. They'd become something new. Not quite bounty hunters, not quite mercenaries, but operators who chose their battles and fought for reasons beyond profit. Riley flourished in this environment, her reformation complete. She took point on vetting jobs, ensuring they aligned with their values. Crix managed their technical infrastructure, expanding their capabilities and connections. Arya continued evolving, her processing power dedicated to keeping them informed and protected. 2 months after the Helix operation, Cole received an encrypted message. No sender information, just coordinates and a time. He almost deleted it. Then he recognized the encryption pattern, one he'd used with an old contact, someone he'd worked with during his early bounty hunting days. The meeting location was a bar on Haven's Gate's commercial level, neutral ground. Cole went alone despite Riley's objections, armed but not obviously so. The contact was waiting in a back booth, an older woman with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much. Director Amanda Foster, formerly of Helix Corporation. Cole sat across from her, hand near his weapon. "You're supposed to be dead. I let people believe that. Easier to disappear when everyone thinks you're gone." Foster slid a data chip across the table. "I wanted to thank you and give you something. I don't want anything from you. You helped create that plague. I created the vaccine platform. Hutchinson weaponized it without my knowledge or consent." Her expression hardened. "When I found out, I tried to stop him. That's why I became a prisoner in my own lab." Cole studied her, looking for deception, found only regret and determination. "The chip contains the complete vaccine formula," Foster continued. "The real one, not the weaponized version. It can protect against hundreds of diseases, exactly as I originally intended. I'm giving it to you because you'll use it right. Why not take it to authorities? Because authorities answer to corporations, and corporations want a profit from medicine. You've proven you care about people more than money." She stood to leave. "Do what you think is right. I trust your judgment more than I trust anyone in power." She was gone before Cole could respond, disappearing into the crowd with the practiced ease of someone who'd done this before. He returned to the warehouse and gathered his crew. They examined the data chip, Arya confirming its authenticity. The vaccine formula was real, revolutionary, and exactly what Foster claimed. "We could sell this for millions," Riley observed. "Pharmaceutical companies would fight wars for this technology." "Or we could give it away," Cole said. The decision wasn't difficult. They transmitted the vaccine formula to medical research institutions across the galaxy, releasing it into public domain where no one could monopolize it. Within weeks, production began on dozens of worlds. The formula saved lives, prevented outbreaks, protected colonists in the outer reaches who'd never had access to advanced medicine. It was Foster's legacy, cleansed of corporate corruption and used as originally intended. Cole never saw Foster again. He suspected she'd found whatever peace was possible for someone who'd created something beautiful that was twisted into a weapon. 3 months after the Helix operation, Cole stood in the Shrike's cockpit during a quiet evening shift. The Helios sector sprawled before him, full of stations and colonies and opportunities. They'd built something here, a reputation, a network, a purpose. Riley joined him, 2 cups of coffee in hand. She'd started a habit of these quiet moments, times when they could talk without the pressure of missions or danger. "Thinking about the past?" she asked. "Thinking about the future," Cole said. "We've come a long way from bounty hunting and questionable decisions." "You mean my questionable decisions?" "And mine. We both made mistakes." He accepted the coffee, savoring the warmth. "But we learned from them." "Most people don't get that chance," Riley said. "Most people just keep making the same mistakes until they run out of luck." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Crix was somewhere in engineering, optimizing systems. Arya monitored communications, alert for threats or opportunities. Their warehouse waited on Haven's Gate, secure and ready. Cole Sterling had spent 15 years as a bounty hunter, chasing targets across the galaxy for credits and reputation. He'd made enemies, formed alliances, survived when survival seemed impossible. He'd been betrayed and learned to trust again. He'd faced corporations and crime lords and his own limitations. And through it all, he'd proven something important: that humans belonged among the stars not because they were stronger or smarter than other species, but because they adapted, persevered, and occasionally did the right thing even when it was difficult. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but it was also full of people worth protecting, causes worth fighting for, and futures worth building. "Arya," Cole said, "what's next on our agenda?" "Several options. A mining company needs security for a valuable shipment. A colony is requesting help with pirate problems." And there's an interesting inquiry from someone who claims to have information about Vorenthal's current location. The pirate problem, Riley suggested. Protecting colonists sounds more rewarding than security escort. Cole nodded. Agreed. Set course whenever we're ready. The Shrike hummed with quiet power beneath them, a ship that had carried them through impossible situations and out the other side. She was more than metal and circuits now. She was home and symbol of everything they'd built together. Riley finished her coffee and headed toward the armory to prep equipment. Crix's chittering echoed from engineering, the Talixin singing some working song from his homeworld. Arya updated their navigation, preparing for the next journey. Cole remained at the viewport a moment longer, looking out at infinity. Somewhere in that vast darkness, people needed help, pirates needed stopping, injustice needed correction. And Cole Sterling, former bounty hunter turned something better, was ready to answer that call. He'd spent years running toward danger for profit. Now he ran toward it for purpose. That made all the difference. The stars beckoned, endless and bright. Cole turned from the viewport and headed aft to join his crew. They had work to do and a reputation to uphold. The Shrike would fly again soon, carrying them toward whatever challenges awaited. And they would face those challenges the way they faced everything, together, prepared, and refusing to back down. Because that was what humans did. They endured, they adapted, they fought for what mattered. And Cole Sterling embodied that spirit perfectly, and he wouldn't have it any other way.